This is where Anil meets Shweta, a girl he gets to know while hanging out at a bar. Shweta's a college student, but she's also interning at a small bank in Chennai. Interestingly, Shweta actually knew Lakshmi, Anil's wife, since they both come from the same area. But things take an unexpected turn when Shweta offers to show Anil a small, affordable house where he can stay temporarily. From there, the two start a secret relationship, meeting up often when no one's around. Shweta even helps out by paying for the house sometimes, so Anil can hide from his strict and overbearing in-laws. It gives them a chance to be together without anyone finding out. Hey, welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving into another shocking real-life story that's sure to keep you on the edge of your seat. This time, our story comes from Chennai, in Tamil Nadu, India. It's about a man who's a pro at winning over women's hearts, only to leave his wife and remarry a girl whose father is a member of the armed forces in the Chennai area. And here's the twist. Chennai is also known for being home to India's largest crocodile breeding ground. Now, you might be wondering, what's the connection between this case and the crocodile enclosure? What's the full story behind all this? Stick around, and let's dive into the details. Before we dive into today's story, don't forget to hit that like button, drop a comment, and subscribe. Oh, and share this wild tale with your friends. It's a crazy one. Now, let's get into it. So, there's this guy born in 1992 in Tirupati, India, named Anil. He was the kind of guy who lived for himself, super self-absorbed, a total playboy, and all about material things. Growing up, he was known as the village's narcissistic rich kid. After high school, in 2011, he moved to Vellore with his cousin, hoping to find a good job. But instead of getting serious, he ended up working as a waiter at a cafe, blowing whatever money he made on partying and living large. He had a habit of switching boyfriends and jobs all the time, living by the motto, "You're only young once, so live it up." His cousin, who had invited him to move, started distancing himself, thinking Anil's lifestyle was just way too reckless. By early 2016, Anil was working a freelance gig offering credit cards at shopping malls. Basically a job that paid pennies. Commissions only came through when customers were approved. And let's be real, that didn't happen much. But then, Anil met Anjali, a woman 3 years older than him. She worked for an insurance company in downtown Vellore and seemed really into him. She invited him to work for her company selling insurance, and Anil agreed. Their relationship grew quickly, and before long, Anjali invited him to live with her in her apartment to save money. Anil was totally down for that. Free rent, what's not to love? They even told the neighbors they were engaged. Living together made Anil's life a lot easier. He didn't have to chase clients or worry about rent or food, since Anjali had a bigger income and seemed happy to support him, as long as they eventually got married. Anjali told him that she came from a wealthy family and owned a bunch of land in Sholingur. That sealed the deal for Anil. So in July 2016, when Anil was 24 and Anjali was 27, they got married in a big ceremony at Anjali's parents' house. All the expenses were covered by the bride's side. But after the wedding, things took a turn. Anjali's stingy side started to show. She wasn't so keen on covering Anil's expenses anymore and started telling him to work harder as the head of the household. But Anil, who had been perfectly happy being taken care of, wasn't thrilled about this new arrangement. Instead of getting money for food, he now had to pay the rent for their apartment, and all his income went straight into Anjali's wallet. It wasn't the life Anil had imagined. The fights started piling up, and eventually, he asked for a separation. But Anjali wasn't having it. She told him that if he wanted a divorce, it would cost him big time. Feeling trapped, Anil turned to his cousin, the one who had originally brought him to Vellore. With his cousin's advice, Anil decided to pack up and leave. He fled to Chennai, leaving Anjali behind, and moved into a friend's place. He changed his phone number so she couldn't track him down and started living the single life again. In the meantime, Anil had just enough money coming in from his parents to get by, but he quickly realized Chennai wasn't as exciting or fast-paced as Vellore. He was unemployed for a while and started feeling the pressure. That's when he got introduced to a woman named Lakshmi through Facebook in May 2017. Lakshmi worked for a tour and travel company her family owned in Chennai. Anil didn't just think she was beautiful. He also saw her as a potential target. He was still unemployed and thought this could be his chance to get back on his feet. So, he told Lakshmi that he was working for an insurance company in the city, even though that wasn't true. They started talking more and eventually met in person at a small restaurant. It was clear they had chemistry, and Lakshmi seemed to be really into him. Both of them were 25, and Anil, with his charm and smooth talk, seemed like just the guy Lakshmi had been waiting for. Anil, the self-proclaimed playboy, wasn't exactly known for his honesty, and he wasn't about to start now. Even after meeting Lakshmi's parents, including her father, Abhishek, who worked as an army official in Chennai, Anil kept up his story. Whenever they asked about his career in insurance, he'd talk about it like he was some expert, impressing them with his knowledge, even though everyone knew insurance wasn't exactly a goldmine. It wasn't so much about the money for Lakshmi's family. They were more impressed by Anil's persistence and confidence. However, it was clear to everyone that he was unemployed, still married to his first wife, and not exactly the catch he claimed to be. Despite this, Lakshmi and her family were still all in, and plans for their marriage moved forward. In fact, Lakshmi even let slip a secret that made Anil's heart race. After they got married, her father promised to appoint him as the leader of one of their family businesses, selling bamboo and wood. That sounded like exactly what Anil wanted. He imagined himself bossing people around, raking in the cash, and living the high life. So to sell the whole "I'm a free man" story, Anil called his mother back in the village, lied about being divorced from his first wife, and told her he was getting remarried. Naturally, his parents went along with whatever he wanted. The wedding happened in January 2018, and it was a much grander affair than his first one. Anil was now the golden boy in town, marrying a beautiful woman from a wealthy family. Everyone admired his insurance job, which was seen as respectable and flashy, especially since office workers wore shirts and ties. To everyone around them, Anil and Lakshmi were the perfect power couple of Chennai. The icing on the cake was that Lakshmi's father invited his army friends to the wedding, giving Anil a warm welcome into their circle. After the wedding, Anil quit his insurance job and dove into the wood and bamboo business, with his brother-in-law teaching him the ropes. But things didn't go as smoothly as Anil had hoped. Despite his authoritative demeanor, he wasn't exactly a quick learner. His brother-in-law kept a close eye on him, and Anil hated it. He couldn't handle the money, couldn't give orders, and definitely couldn't negotiate with customers. He had no control over deliveries, stock, or supply management, and this went on for months. His father-in-law started to get worried that Anil wasn't cut out for the business. On top of that, Anil became frustrated with his brother-in-law for not giving him more freedom and started to take it out on Lakshmi. She tried to play it cool, telling him to learn at his own pace, but that only made Anil more upset. "How am I supposed to learn when your brother's always doing everything for me?" he snapped. He wanted to be the one in charge, but instead, he found himself doing menial tasks like tying up bamboo, delivering wood, and fixing trucks. It felt humiliating, and soon, he stopped going to the shop altogether. As time went on, Anil started spending less and less time at home, hanging out with new friends and drinking at cafes with random women. Lakshmi, who had warned him to keep up the family's good name, was at her wits' end. But Anil wasn't having it. He fought back, demanding, "Tell your brother to get out of the shop, and let me run things. I'll stop drinking and actually work." This led to a major argument between Lakshmi and her family. Lakshmi argued that her father and brother were the cause of Anil's laziness and drinking habits. But her father wasn't buying it. He told Anil he wasn't cut out for the job and that his lazy attitude wasn't going to fly in the business world. "How can you run a business when you can't even manage your own life?" he scolded. This left Anil sulking and storming off for a whole week without coming home. It was during this time that Anil found himself hanging out at a bar again, and that's when he met Shweta. She was a college student interning at a small bank in Chennai. It turns out, Shweta knew Lakshmi because they were from the same area. But instead of sticking to the usual small talk, Shweta ended up showing Anil a small, inexpensive house where he could stay temporarily. No one knew about this arrangement, but soon enough, the two started seeing each other in secret. Shweta would often visit Anil and stay the night, sometimes even paying for the house so Anil could hide from his strict in-laws. It wasn't just a way for him to escape his family's watchful eyes. It also gave him the chance to continue living with Shweta while keeping his marriage to Lakshmi a secret. By early October 2018, Mr. Abhishek, Lakshmi's father, had had enough. He suspected Anil had been lying about a lot of things, so he sent one of his men to look into it. What they uncovered was shocking. Anil was still married when he married Lakshmi, and he'd been unemployed for a long time, long before he ever met her. Lakshmi was devastated. She couldn't believe what she was hearing. On October 5, 2018, Mr. Abhishek decided it was time to confront Anil. He and his team began searching for him around Chennai. A neighbor tipped them off, saying they often saw Anil hanging out with a woman named Shweta at cafes and houses. They tracked down the cafe, but neither Anil nor Shweta was there. They kept looking, visiting several houses where they thought Anil might be staying. Finally, they found a small hotel where Anil and Shweta had been hiding. The hotel receptionist tried to deny it, but the security guard let it slip. When they reached the room, there was no denying it. Anil was there with Shweta. Mr. Abhishek was furious, feeling completely deceived by the man who had tricked his daughter. He told Shweta to leave, threatening her with arrest if she didn't. Scared, Shweta ran off, and Anil was escorted to the car, still quiet and submissive. Mr. Abhishek, along with his team and one of his army colleagues, took Anil to a crocodile breeding farm, an area frequented by tourists during the day. Mr. Abhishek had business there, and some of his employees suspected he might be planning something violent. However, when they arrived, everyone was told to wait in the car. Mr. Abhishek grabbed Anil by the arm and led him into the darkness toward one of the cages. 5 minutes later, 2 gunshots rang out. Mr. Abhishek returned to the car alone and ordered the employees to drive away. The next day, one of the guards found a human foot in the crocodile pen. The police initially thought it was just an accident. Maybe a guard had fallen in and been attacked by a crocodile, but no one had reported a missing person. That was until Shweta heard the news and realized she hadn't heard from Anil in over a week. She filed a report, suggesting that Anil could be the one who ended up in the crocodile cage. The police from Vellore got involved, questioning Mr. Abhishek's employees. They kept quiet, terrified of what might happen to them if they spoke out. Even Lakshmi began to suspect her father. She asked him a lot of questions, but he stayed silent. In his mind, he was debating whether he should surrender to the authorities, especially since his employees were being followed by the police everywhere they went. On October 12, 2018, Mr. Abhishek finally turned himself in. He confessed to everything, admitting that he had been responsible for Anil's death. He explained that after learning about all the lies and deceit Anil had fed to many women, especially to his daughter, who was deeply in love with him, he couldn't stand by any longer. He never imagined that his intelligent daughter could be so easily fooled by a man she met on Facebook. Despite everything, she had fallen for Anil, and he had taken advantage of her, even organizing a lavish wedding that deceived the entire family. Mr. Abhishek couldn't bear to see his daughter in so much pain, and that's when he decided to take matters into his own hands. During his trial at the Chennai City High Court on February 6, 2019, Mr. Abhishek explained that he hadn't intended to kill Anil that night. He said he just wanted to teach him a lesson for all the trouble he had caused. But when Anil resisted, things escalated. In the heat of the moment, Mr. Abhishek pulled out a gun and shot Anil. Afterward, confused and unsure of what to do next, he pushed Anil's body into one of the crocodile cages. He admitted he hadn't planned on involving his employees or anyone else, but he feared Anil might retaliate, so he brought them along. Also at the hearing was Anil's first wife, Anjali, who spoke up about her experience. She described Anil as lazy, irresponsible, and a heavy drinker. According to her, he had left her without a word after stealing her money. She was shocked to learn he had remarried, especially since Anil's parents knew he was still married to her. However, when the police questioned Anil's parents, They had initially claimed that he was divorced. Mr. Abhishek, with his lawyer by his side, then detailed some of the terrible things Anil had done in the past. He revealed that Anil had been involved in multiple scams, deceiving young women with his smooth talk, and had even been arrested for credit card fraud. Anil had used his customers' cards for online shopping and their personal information to apply for loans. He had been detained for 3 days before an elderly woman, who refused to testify in court, bailed him out to protect her family's reputation. On February 12, 2019, the jury found Mr. Abhishek guilty of second-degree assault causing Anil's death. They ruled that he had acted in self-defense, and he was sentenced to 15 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 10 years. He was also dismissed from his job. As for the employees and army members who had accompanied him, they faced no charges. The verdict sparked mixed reactions. Many people in India believed that Anil had gotten what he deserved, but others felt that Mr. Abhishek should have been charged with first-degree murder for deliberately planning Anil's death, not just acting in self-defense. Some also speculated that the court took into account Mr. Abhishek's long-standing service to the state in its decision. Meanwhile, Shweta, who had been involved with Anil, was sentenced to 4 months in prison for her role in the events. What lessons can we learn from this story?